New York City is now facing a migrant crisis as a direct result to their own sanctuary city policies. And now Alexandria Ocasio Cortes tries to explain to New Yorkers how this can actually be a good thing.
In getting a solution to this issue. The first is that there is consensus here across geography and states.
And it's not just Fox News coverage. They were constantly being drowned out by the chants of "send them back" from very angry citizens.
What is this? What is this here then? Yeah, barriers for who? For who? For us? For the United States? No, you come down. You're complicit in destroying our city. You come down, you oath breaker. You gotta go to sleep at night. If we don't get up and fight for our city, nobody's coming for us. They're coming to destroy it. The reason why they're here is to steal our votes.
Right.
We're not going to be able to live. They're stealing our votes, our kids' future, my birthright. Our United States, this great city that I refuse to leave. Do you understand? Nobody's coming for us. These elected officials aren't even elected. They're using absentee ballots. They're being selected.
They're operating without.
What did you think that AOC, when she came out and other members of Congress and they had this press conference, what did you think about their comments?
They will never be allowed to walk down the streets again. Yes. They have destroyed our city, and New York, especially Queens, is woken up.
Let's pull away from this. You see the anger among some on the streets.
So in typical corporate dinosaur media fashion, they feign interest in what real New Yorkers have to say about their community, but as soon as they get something outside the official Democrat narrative, okay, let's cut to commercial break for more approved messaging. Because I always knew the attitude of, they'll never be able to walk in our streets again was going to happen eventually. I just didn't think it was going to happen in deep blue NYC of all places, as what this really comes down to is New Yorkers are upset that the system is collapsing right in front of their eyes, but instead of their leaders backtracking and trying to correct the issues, they're doubling down. Just listen to what this is really about for Democrats.
Is to allow for work authorizations so that the folks in here can get to work and start supporting themselves as soon as possible.
That we have resources and a path to citizenship necessary, or a path to documentation necessary.
Yes, that same pathway for those seeking sanctuary to be able to work/get documentation that Mayor Eric Adams was calling for. But just behind the veil, it's because they're pushing for non-citizens to be able to vote in NYC just as long as they have work authorization. So we've seen this strategy implemented time and time again. Something gets framed as humanitarian is secretly just a way to establish something for their own personal gain. Because at this point, your average tax-paying New Yorkers that dealt with all the lockdowns, all the medical passports, all the rising crime rates that they have absolutely zero solutions for, those votes are lost. But they don't need them anymore when they can just keep moving the goalpost of who they cater to, because their solutions to this crisis are built on sheer delusion.
We already knew that migrants were arriving. Shouldn't have happened in the first place. We saw it with the school budget cuts, and now we're welcoming 19,000 children when we should be hiring more bilingual education teachers, when we should be hiring more guidance counselors for mental health supports.
Yes, all those extra millions they have for schools when they just had to cut funding to NYPD again to help pay for the migrants, as they can't even house the ones they have now.
Today, this hotel is fully occupied. All 1,025 rooms completely booked, full of illegal migrant families being housed here at a cost of $6,000 per month per family. The worst part of the story, this hotel is owned by the Pakistani government. That's right, the same government that housed Osama bin Laden is now getting $75 million a year from American taxpayers to house families that are here illegally in America.
And compound that with the fact that even the expensive Roosevelt Hotel is now overflowing, where they may even have to reopen a rat-infested prison to house the migrants. And keep in mind, they're only receiving a tiny fraction of what crosses these border states every single day. But again, this was all part of what Biden was campaigning on when he ran for president.
I would in fact make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
So when we see these border towns filled with kids in cages, there's no images of AOC in an all-white suit crying outside the parking lot. And let's be clear here, the amount of just overall suffering due to our issues at the border has only increased. But the corporate media won't portray it that way because they don't care about how it impacts the average person, they only care about how it impacts their pimp. I mean, politician. Because as we see in New York City, media spin can only take it so far. And I honestly believe that they're going to reach the same tipping point that we're currently seeing on the island of Lampedusa in Italy. We're off the coast of Italy, halfway between Europe and Africa. There is this tiny island of Lampedusa with only 6,000 residents. And a few months ago, they experienced a few boats of migrants landing on their beaches. But a few days ago, in just 30 minutes, they saw 35 boats land on their island, with over 100 in just one day. So suddenly, their island doubled in population of what seems to be exclusively military-aged males. Where yes, there seems to be a small amount of supplies available for the migrants, but once the 7,000 people realize there's not enough, small scuffles ensue, and panic begins to set in. Now the Italian police quickly get overrun with zero control over the situation, and will now need to declare a state of emergency for their tiny island, as their citizens become angry over their government allowing this to happen. And even their deputy mayor took to the streets, where allegedly he stated something to the effect of, "The refugees are not welcome, we should have tourism and fishing only, and nothing more." But it appears it is too late for Lampedusa, where I see no politically correct solution available that the Italian government will allow. Now I understand you can't quite compare the 1.6 million people living in Manhattan to the 6,000 in Lampedusa, but keep in mind, NYC has only received 13,000 from Texas, which is just shy of double what Texas sees cross in one day, and in a year, they apparently see 1.6 million migrants crossing. So if New Yorkers are panicking about 13,000, what happens if that becomes 100,000? And if they give Biden another 4 years, NYC could easily have a Lampedusa-level catastrophe. But sadly at that point, not even Mega Snek could save New York. So if you appreciate my concise, lighthearted commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, hopefully I've earned your subscription, then go check out the video on how this liberal nonsense is actually turning Donald Trump into a hood legend.